Welcome back to Kicks and Picks. Nick, Scotty, and I all here for this one. We're going to talk a little bit of Champions League to kick things off. Busy week in football. Big weekend for Nick last weekend. I guess a big weekend for me, right? Roma decided to win a match, so that's big in the Romaverse. And who'd your boys have last week, Scotty? I completely
They didn't play. Too windy.
That's right. Oh, that's why the winds killed our
Too
under.
windy.
We had that underpeg.
We did. That was an easy. That was gonna be an easy
winds.
win, and then they canceled it on us. I think there's just too much action on the unders that came in. They're like, oh, fuck, we can't do this.
Yeah, we can't play in these hurricane conditions. So let's kick it off, boys, with the Champions League. It was a busy midweek as usual with these. Now everybody playing within 2 days. Liverpool still unbeaten, 1-0 win at Girona. Dynamo Celtic, kind of a surprising 0-0 in my opinion.
Awful.
Usually
garbage.
some goals to be found there. Real Madrid went to Atalanta and won 3-2. Kind of unfortunate for Atalanta. Some lucky bounces for Madrid on especially the Vinny Jr. goal. But CDK continues to cash for us. I cashed him goal or assist plus 150. That was a nice one. This match was the one that hurt me, was Leverkusen Inter. I had the under half a goal. I felt like this was one of those classic Inter 0-0s like they played City earlier in the Champions League, and they conceded in the 90th minute a really garbage goal. I did hedge with the under 1.5 because I figured it would be low scoring, and I did make some money, but could have been a really nice day. Bruges beating Sporting 2-1. Glad I stayed away from Sporting. I almost took them. Villa 3-2 winners at Leipzig. Leipzig still winless.
First team eliminated.
Yeah. I did cash Villa 2 plus money, which was nice. Made it a little sweaty, but man, Leipzig. I'd never imagined Leipzig being 0-6 in 6 Champions League matches. Usually a knockout round type team in the old format, so it's very surprising. PSG much needed win 3-0 at Salzburg. Bayern crushing Shakhtar away 5-1. Brest surprisingly shutting out PSV 1-0.
Killed
That
me.
was the most frustrating game, I think, for me. Yeah, and Scotty, right? We were both on that
3.
over. PSV could have had about 7 goals, and just nothing went their way.
Big.
I think over 3 it was 9-1-1 in PSV's last 11 games, and I thought that was an easy one. And then
not even that, dude. They had 2 goals called back. They hit 2 posts. The goalie made about 7 saves against them. It was just it kind of said to Scotty around the 60th minute, this is I've seen enough from this goalie to know that this game is fucking dead.
Yeah, there's those matches when it gets to that point, halftime, 60th minute, and you're just like, it's not going to go in. It's just not going to find a way in. Today, Atleti 3-1 over Slovan Bratislava. Lille at home 3-2 winners over Sturm Graz. Arsenal 3-0 winners over Monaco in London. Benfica and Bologna 0-0 in Portugal. Credit to Bologna for keeping it scoreless, but still, I think only 1 goal scored for Bologna in 6 matches now, or two at most.
Hey, 2 more points than I thought they might have at this point in the game, so good for them.
Barcelona late winners against Dortmund 3-2 after conceding 2 penalties. Feyenoord 4-2 winners over Sparta Prague. Juve, this is probably the big surprise, 2-0 winners over City. This was a match similar to Inter. I expected low scoring. I took the under 1.5, under 2.5, and when Juve was holding out for so long, I thought, okay, under 1.5 is gonna hit for me at plus money. And then the American duo Weah and McKennie off the bench combined for a really nice counterattack goal. Got the second one and punished City there and put them away 2-0. Probably the surprise result of the match day, in my opinion, that they were able to do it with 2 goals.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but City have not been good in the last month and a half.
Two trains on a parallel track.
I
mean,
and Nick's boy Vlahovic got the first goal.
Listen,
Vlahovic only scores against bad teams, right, Nick?
That is facts, and that's true here. Listen, I like to slander Juve as much as anybody. They had a deserved win today. I think they had the right game plan. Their goalie was outstanding. Di Gregorio looked great.
Very good.
He had to make a couple good saves, so you can't say City didn't create anything, but they didn't they look how they've looked for the past month and a half. And if Juve were a better number, I would have maybe advocated to take a shot on them, but they're only plus 280, plus 290, wasn't too good at home. So I don't know that I thought they would do it.
Still much confidence in us, right? From what they've done domestically.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It felt like maybe a draw, maybe if you took a double chance, I guess, something like that. But
right. So best possible time for them to play City, obviously, but you could have probably said the same thing for City. We're playing a Juve team that's down in the dumps. Maybe this will get us right.
Yeah.
And Pep just looks fucking lost. So full credit to Juve.
That
Two good
Rodri
goals that they
injury,
scored.
we knew would be impactful, right? But like it's way more impactful than I think we ever could have imagined.
And they're just getting nothing outside of Haaland. That's really kind of the other thing.
Are they getting anything with Haaland? Because he's not even providing that much.
Right. I mean, he's still probably leading the Premier League in goals by default because he had those 2 hat tricks or whatever. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
I think he and Salah are like tied in the Golden Boot right now.
I forgot Salah's doing what.
Yeah.
And then the last two, Milan late winners against Red Star at home. Almost Red Star almost got a result there in Milan. Stuttgart 5-1 winners over Young Boys, who have become the whipping boys of the entire Champions League. I think 22 conceded in 6 matches now. They just bleed goals. So looking like the next match day, Scotty, you brought it up in the chat. Match day 7 is going to be a big one for City and PSG. Not an elimination match, but if one of them loses, they could be in a little bit of trouble depending on the results around them.
Yeah, they're gonna be in a tough shape going into match week 8. Depending on whoever loses this match, and I think a draw is also equally as bad. But yeah, they're playing each other. I think it's like January 21st or somewhere around there. So they have about 6 weeks to kind of get themselves situated. But yeah, I mean, right now you have PSG sitting on the outside right now at 7 points, 1 point behind the cutoff line to advance. City sitting there at 8 points, just basically level with that cut line. And you have Stuttgart, you have PSV, you got a couple other teams that are trying to sneak in there that will probably can get results. And if you lose this game, you're going into that last week probably outside the cut line with a must-need win. I think City will play Bruges, who looked decent. Not as good as they looked last year, but still solid. And then PSG, I think, have to travel to Stuttgart, who are going to be in the same situation where it's like they need to get a win to advance. Yeah. So
they're playing Bruges in Manchester?
Yes. City would be home for that match.
Really lucky about that.
So
yeah, I think you're right about them. Celtic and Dinamo, I think like they each did themselves a disservice. Like if one of them got 2 more points out of that game, they could have made a claim, but now I feel like one of those 2 teams is on the way out.
Yeah. I mean, they have their work cut out for them for sure. Yeah. And, Madrid getting this win at Atalanta today can't be understated how important that is because they would have been sitting at 6 or 7 points behind that cut line as well without all 3. So I think that win today, which was probably their hardest remaining fixture, really gave them, a lot of, did them, good service in terms of advancing into the next round. But if it wasn't for that, you're looking at those 3 big clubs who've done, I guess PSG hasn't really done much in Europe, but have high expectations every time they get into the Champions League. And, probably at least 1, maybe 2 could have been dropped out before the knockout stage.
Yeah.
Facts.
Says doubt Madrid at your bankroll's peril. It happened to me yesterday. I did take a shot on Atalanta. And it didn't pan out.
I mean, listen, it was the time to do it if there ever was one.
Right.
I didn't also know Vinny was going to be back, but you're going to find 3 guys, especially Scotty and I, who did this two years in a row. We cashed Madrid futures 2 years in a row. So cannot accuse us of doubting Real Madrid in the Champions League.
No, never. It's our favorite future, maybe my second favorite right now behind my new Chelsea investment, which I'm enjoying.
Fact.
All right. Speaking of your Chelsea investment, we'll jump over to the Premier League for the weekend slate. We'll get to the big one later, which is going to be City United. Maybe not as shiny of a derby this time around because of the struggles of the sides, but
equally as important.
Maybe more important in some ways, right? Yeah. Arsenal kicks off the weekend Saturday, hosting Everton, big favorites. Liverpool also big favorites on Saturday at the 10 a.m. slot, minus 310, hosting Fulham. Newcastle also big favorites at the same time slot. We see a pattern here, hosting Leicester. Anything from those 3, like, is there any value to be had? Is there maybe an upset to be found with one of these Champions League playing teams, or is it just like a dead time slot here?
Let's hear it, Scotty.
Plenty of value. Arsenal Everton under 3 is almost playable at minus 140. I'm sure if you shop that around, you can probably find it at minus 130. Arsenal can't score outside of set pieces.
Outside of Saka.
Yeah, outside of Saka.
Full stop.
Or anything.
And I'm sorry, Scotty. Let me go on my mini rant here. I can't say that I've been a Saka believer, but watching them in the Champions League, like Arsenal have fucking nothing without this dude. They would be in 8th or 9th place if it wasn't for Saka. He's that important to the team. He's been that good for the past year and a half. So I have to give him some credit, and just I can admit when I'm wrong. I don't think, like, if he were to get hurt, you might as well put Arsenal in the bottom half of the table. That's how average I feel like they are without the way he's been playing.
Yeah, Martinelli's been way down this year. I mean, he's always been inconsistent at his best, and this year he's been pretty bad. I mean, he had that offsides that basically cost him the win and cost us some money last week because we had the Arsenal money line over 1.5. I think, Coach, you got in live money line, and being offsides on a pass where he has to come back to collect it in the first place is just an absolute sin, in my opinion. But yeah, he's been useless. I mean, we kind of knew that, Havertz would come back to earth this season. He played really well for them last year, but this pod is not a Havertz pod in any way, shape, or form. And Trossard has scored a bunch, and he had a history of doing that even at Brighton, but it's kind of hard to, count on a midfielder to be like a double-digit scorer for you year in and year out. So I think there's been a lot of regression to the mean. And yeah, without Saka, like, they really are lost. They need to have, at least 1 or 2 quality attackers that come into this lineup to really give them a shot at being a, legit title contender, in my opinion. But without them, I think the under 3, Everton, one thing that they normally do well is defend set pieces under Sean Dyche. So, yeah, I can't see there being 4 goals in this one.
I tend to agree with that. I kind of almost want to take Everton on the spread, but I'm not there. I can't. If they haven't scored enough lately. I mean, it's one of those where I feel like if they can score a goal, I'd be comfortable taking them on the spread. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. It's more of an under game where Everton don't score a goal. 2-0 Arsenal, 1-0 Arsenal. Yeah, that's. I don't really have much to add. I think you're spot on. Arsenal at home are going to get it done, but I don't think it's going to be super convincingly. I think they probably need to rotate a little bit. There's been 4 games in the past 15, 16, 17 days or whatever it is. So yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. And then Oaks throws in the under 3.5 in Newcastle Leicester. That's at -140 right now.
Man, I don't know. I'm not disagreeing with Oaks. I don't know what to make of it. Newcastle's a huge favorite, but Leicester scores every game. Every game. They're in every game. Like, should they be a +800 underdog? I don't know that they should.
I mean, I think Leicester, you can take them on the spread in this one, 1.5, right? I think that's like almost even money. I wouldn't hate that one at all, because that's going to put a lot of pressure on Newcastle to really generate a lot of goals quickly.
Yeah, let me get on my gambling soapbox here. Like, this is just another pet peeve. Like, we talk about how hard it is to score, sometimes how hard it is to even get a shot on target in this game. How is a team that's an 8-1 underdog only +1.5 on the spread? Like, shouldn't it be a little bit higher, or am I wrong? I don't know. Like, that math doesn't add up in my mind.
I don't work in Vegas, sadly.
Right.
Yes. This is a great point by Leg. Sorry, not to you. But Van Nistelrooy undefeated in the Premier League across 2 clubs. Can't say the same for Ruben Amorim, which is a shame. A real shame. But I'll save that for the
I don't buy Newcastle. That's all I'm trying to say. Week in and week out, I don't buy them. And this is just another example of that. Yeah. Are they outside of the top 10 yet? Yeah. 12th place. Winless in 3. I mean, man, I'd love to see Leicester win this game.
I don't think they'll win. I think they can certainly keep it close. There's going to be goals, like we said last time with the Leicester game, although they waited until the last 10 minutes to get their 2 goals. But yeah, I think +1.5 is a really good bet on this one. And then the other one I was looking at, so Liverpool Fulham. This one stood out to me. Both teams to score is -125. I think Liverpool are going to get a goal at home here. I don't think anyone's going to argue against me on that one. Fulham have scored a goal in 16 straight matches. All but one of their games this season when they opened the season at Manchester United. They've scored a goal in all of their matches across all competitions. I love both teams to score -125. I can't see. I get it. Allison's back. Defense for Liverpool had been a strong suit. Konate's been out, so they've been struggling a little bit in that realm. I don't think McAllister's going to be available for this one now because he's going to be out with the yellow card suspension. So it's really going to be Gravenberch and Van Dijk doing a lot of the defending in both defense and midfield. So I see Fulham getting a goal here. I think they, I think Jimenez scored like the first 8 minutes in their game last week. So it could even be something like that where they open the scoring. But yeah, I think that's too good of a deal to pass up.
I agree.
All right. Also, the 10 a.m. time slot is Wolves hosting Ipswich -110.
Wolves money
home.
line.
Yeah.
Wolves
Go for
money
it.
line. At home, Wolves, they've been scoring. They're a favorite. I see a line like this that makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't make sense. Give it to me. Wolves -110.
All right. So there you have it. Nick's on the Wolves -110.
Somebody back me up in the chat so I feel like I'm smart.
A must-win game for Wolves too, right? You're playing the only
Yeah,
team leading
they're
the
even on
table.
points, right?
Not even on points. Wolves has 9. Southampton. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Southampton. Yeah, Ipswich and Wolves both on 9. So yeah, this is if you're either one's going to claw their way out, they need to win these kind of head-to-head matches.
I mean, this is probably an over game.
Yeah, it's going to be an over. I mean, Wolves, their last 3 matches haven't tracked a win against either Bournemouth, West Ham, or I think Everton. I think those are their last 3. Yeah. Lost all 4 of those games, or all 3 of those games. So going money line, it's a bit of a stretch, even though
That's
Ipswich
why.
isn't
But that's why.
that great. But yeah, okay. I'll buy that
Like,
logic.
just the odds right in front of me. I'm just not even gonna overthink anything. I'm not gonna try to put logic into it. I'm not gonna reason with anybody. Wolves money line.
All right. Closing out Saturday is Forest hosting Villa. Pretty even here in terms of value. Forest +165 at home, Villa +170 on the road.
We are taking the over 2.5 in this.
Yeah.
We're hammering that. It's -120. Aston Villa's defense sucks. We know that, but they can score even though Ollie Watkins is having a down year. He's missing a lot of chances. Honestly, both teams over 1.5 is plus money. So if you like either of those teams, if you like either team, you don't really want to go with them on the money line, go ahead and just take one of their team totals because I think the winning team would have to score at least 2 in this.
Yeah, I mean, if
Ronnie,
you're
what's
expecting
up?
both teams to score to get a winner, you're going to need 2 goals. I agree with Leg. I think Villa draw no bet at -110 is a pretty good value. Coming off the win in the Champions League, they do concede though, like Scotty said, so there's probably goals to be had. The line right now is set 2.5 is -120. That's a little surprising to me that it's all that you could get that much value on the over 2.5, considering the way these Villa matches have gone this year.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's a little crazy, but whatever. I'm not gonna second guess myself.
Yeah. I think it's one of those ones you take it, and if it doesn't hit, you just tip your cap because at most weeks over 2.5 hitting in these Villa matches this season. Moving on to Sunday, Brighton against Palace. Brighton -110 at home, Palace +280. Palace trying to stay out of the relegation zone. I see some head shakes. What do you think here?
This is a flip a coin, man.
No comment. This is no
this-
matter what I pick, it will be wrong. So I'm not gonna give out advice.
Yeah, definitely don't trust Brighton as much as I used to. Leg likes the money line, and that's usually where I trend towards. But dude, they've been blowing a lot of games.
I think that's the most obvious thing.
Especially at -110, it just feels like money line is kind of too good to pass up
It
against.
seems too good to be true.
Palace side, right?
That's what worries me. But Palace fucking stink. So
they're pretty bad.
how does Brighton not win this at home? When you look at Brighton's resume, they should tear through Palace. But will they?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, they just dropped points to Leicester City, last weekend. I can see something similar happening. And it's not like Leicester's that much better than Crystal Palace. I mean, at least Palace, again, not saying City's a good team, but they got a result against City. I don't know. It's just, I don't love, if the number was better for Brighton, sure. Like if it was plus money, then I don't mind. But I don't know. At -110, it doesn't seem like it's too good for me.
Hold on. We just one thing I want to throw out. Newcastle Leicester draw +475. That's almost good enough to throw a little dart.
On the draw line specifically?
Yeah, +475.
Like a 2-2.
Could see
Newcastle
it.
does love a good draw. They do. That is facts.
Just throwing it out there.
All right. That brings us to the next match on the calendar. City hosting United. City big favorites -180. United +400. I mean, they both need wins
They
for
both.
different reasons, right?
It's not even so much that they need wins. They both need to avoid another loss.
Yeah.
City, I think their fans are maybe starting to just accept that this is going to be a lost season. But really, I think losing at home to United during this long stretch might just be one pill too hard to swallow. But on the other side, United have been kind of hopeful that they're going to have a turnaround. News was leaking out today that they might be willing to sell up, half of their team in between January and the summer window just to kind of clear everything out and do a full overhaul. not sure how good that is for the morale in the locker room, but Morum, he needs to get some results. Van Nistelrooy looked good when he was doing the interim business, and he's looking good for Leicester right now. And I said it when it first happened. Nothing would be more United than for them to pass on Van Nistelrooy and then him to take off and Morum come in and struggle and have that become the news cycle. And a loss here against this really struggling City team, even if it's on the road, I think that starts to just raise a little bit of questions for United fans. I think the large part of the base will be a little bit more patient and understand that Morum's project is going to be judged in next season and not this season. But at the end of the day, you still want to see some results to give you some glimmer of hope. If you just continue to drop points like the way that they've been doing, it becomes a little bit more tenable of a situation.
Yeah.
So we can talk results in this because United on getting plus a goal is minus 120. I don't hate that with the way that City have been offensively challenged.
I wish it was more.
Yeah, I don't know if
I agree. I do agree. I'm just saying I wish it was 1.5.
I think Oaks makes a good point at under 3.5. That's at minus 150. The under 3.25 goal is at minus 120.
I dig that.
Feels like 3 is maybe the max here, the way these teams are playing.
Yep. Yeah, under I think makes sense. That's again, but that was my logic for taking United plus 1 because I think if United get 1, they're safe. But yeah, under 3 certainly is a good play here. 3.25 if you really want to get a little bit of protection. I understand. Oh man, there's no player props out yet.
Yeah, nothing up yet because United plays tomorrow, I guess.
I would also love cards in this.
I was going to say cards at 4.5 seems a little low.
Yeah. I would love cards in this.
I can go over 4.5 cards.
City players are frustrated. We saw Bernardo Silva pick up a really, obvious frustration yellow card late in the Juve game today, where he just kind of shoulder charged in the back of defender when the keeper had the ball. I think that's all mounting. City doesn't know. The players don't know what to do when they lose. They're not used to this, and they're not going to respond well. Throw in a local derby on top of that. I think that emotions will be high, and I can see a lot of yellows in this.
I agree.
And City, 4th place now. That's not a position they're used to being in, where they have teams breathing down their neck for Champions League positioning. Mm-hmm. Usually, it's securing a title, and Champions League is a given. And not saying they're not going to qualify for Champions League. They're still definitely the favorites to qualify ahead of teams like Forest and Villa, but they're not used to playing in that kind of pressure situation. It's more the title race, so it's a different dynamic, I think.
Yeah, they're going to be. I mean, they're all just kind of holding on until January and hoping that the reinforcements come in quick and frequently over that month.
City win in under 3.5 plus 150.
Yeah, but I don't want City to win here. This is not
That's okay about wanting them to win or lose.
No, I'm not even saying I don't want to have them to win in my card at all. I don't think they've won 1 game in the last month and a half.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch that.
I don't know. I can't. I'm with you guys on the under. I cannot see them getting shut out again. Back-to-back games
at home. They're at the Etihad.
Yeah, they'll probably score.
Let's see. I'm just trying to see their results.
Give me a 1-1 draw. That's what I'm gonna play. What is 1-1 draw? Plus 700. That's probably what I'll throw a little bit on.
2, 3 of their last 6 games they've been shut out. That's fucking
good.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's not good. De Bruyne's back though, so that helps a little bit.
All right. That brings us to your new favorite team outside of Liverpool, Scott, and that's Chelsea, since you've got your future on them. Minus 290 at home hosting Brentford. And also closing out Sunday is Spurs on the road at Southampton, minus 140 on Spurs.
Yeah. Chelsea should smoke here. I mean, the money line isn't super attractive. I do like the sometimes given out on this podcast, both teams to score, no draw, because I think Brentford's going to score here. But with the way that Chelsea's been scoring in bunches, I don't see them dropping points at home. Yeah. That's minus 110. Sorry, I should have given out the price. But yeah, I am a big fan of Chelsea right now because I gave out buy into their future at plus 1,400 on this podcast last Wednesday. They're now down to plus 650. I think my ROI is already at 42%. I said I was going to sell before the City game on January 25th. I am now reconsidering whether or not I'm going to do that because that City game is in between their two Champions League matches against PSG and Club Brugge, where they're going to have to be pretty focused on if they want to advance. So I could even see that going Chelsea's way. But I'll wait and decide and see what City's looking like in terms of who they buy in January before I make that decision. If you want to get involved, Chelsea to finish in the top two in the Premier League, I think it's plus 250. I think that's a pretty good bet given where Arsenal and City are right now. I don't see either of those guys challenging them. So another plus money opportunity in the futures market. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea at this point, you can pretty much just take any of their attackers that starts, throw them into, a
Cole Palmer,
anytime goal scorer or
Been
shot on target
crushing.
parlay, and you'll make money.
Oh shit! Are they going? Who they playing?
In Kazakhstan. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Their squad is so big, they can easily rotate this, and it's not going to be a huge deal.
Fair.
All right.
You know?
What do you think of Spurs on the road at Southampton minus 140?
This is a trap game for Spurs. Big time trap game for Spurs. And I'm still mad at them because they blew my both teams to score parlay 2 weeks ago where they failed to score against, I think it was Bournemouth. So fuck them. I wouldn't take them minus 140 in any way, shape, or form. If you really want to take, Southampton, to score, I think that's plus money. So that might be what I would do. Yeah, Southampton over half a goal is plus 105. I might take that just to, give the double finger to Spurs.
I'm gonna somewhat jokingly advocate where I'm looking at the slate top to bottom. You could take every home favorite. Like I don't know there's a home favorite that doesn't win this, or not favorite. Like I don't know that there's a home team that doesn't win this week. Like I like just about every home team. Forest maybe is the toughest one.
Yeah,
Forest,
I mean
Southampton.
Forest probably the toughest one.
Yeah,
and Southampton. Southampton's at home. So,
but Scotty just told me it's a trap game.
It feels for Spurs specifically,
right?
And doesn't mean that Southampton will win.
Yeah, and it's weird too. Like this time last year, Postecoglou we all thought was going to be like the next big guy for Spurs, and he's going to probably stick around for many years. Don't know how many, but at least 3, 4, 5 plus minimum. And now there's chatter around him having to get the vote of confidence from ownership. People are kind of starting to question whether or not he's the guy now in Tottenham. So
you're telling me maybe it's an ownership and management problem.
Yeah, for sure. Unless Jerry Jones comes in and buys them, then everything is solved.
That should make it work better. Yeah.
But it almost feels like this is like a hot seat game for Ange here, because if you lose this one or you drop points, against one of the worst teams in the Premier League, that's if not the worst. Are they the worst?
They are.
Yeah, they're in last. Yeah, if you drop points here, man, that's
Spurs down in 11th is kind of wild.
That'd be the second
Why
time
are they
they've
only
lost.
minus 140? Like that doesn't make sense.
Well, because I think Crystal Palace is what their only win or one of their 2 wins is against Tottenham, right? When they were in 20th in last place. So I think that's the issue. They have a history of dropping points against teams that are in the relegation zone.
All right, and closing out the weekend is Bournemouth hosting West Ham minus 140 on the money line at home.
Gross.
Yeah, but
everything about this game is gross.
That's a must-win game for them, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just crazy that Bournemouth are that heavily favorites against West Ham now. That's how far West Ham have fallen.
Yeah,
but it's just a gross game.
The team total on Bournemouth is minus 175.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
I mean, no, it's not, because West Ham's defense is terrible. So I think that actually makes sense perfectly.
Yeah. No, this is a gross game, and that's why it's on a Monday. I hope only people who are watching it are people killing time before they log off work for the holiday break. That's it.
All right. And Oaks thrown out there. Both teams to score plus over 2.5 or more. Bournemouth money line and both teams to score are the 2 picks he likes in that one.
Yeah, this is definitely a both teams to score over 2.5 game. Yeah. What is it? Minus 130. It's not. I mean, the number isn't even that great, but that's really the only playable thing here.
Yeah, with West Ham, that feels like it's a pretty common occurrence. All right, moving to Italy this weekend. So kicking off the weekend on Friday, Empoli hosting Torino. Empoli plus 150 at home. Torino plus 205. Empoli coming off the emphatic win, right, Nick, against Hellas last weekend. Not that Hellas is any good, but
casual 4 first half goals. Yeah,
they did it in style. Do you think at home They're worth it. They're worth a shot here at plus 150. Torino
I
has
do.
not been very good.
Torino's terrible. They're winless in their last 6, I think, 5 or 6. 5 off what I'm looking at here. It could be more. Empoli's playing well. They've got a young squad. Their coach, Diversa's doing an awesome job, and then, like, he's one of those names that's kind of been around. So I had to go back.
Parma when he got fired.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I had to go back and do my research and see, and he has a history of like taking these terrible squads and kind of making them relevant. And 10th place ahead of Roma at this point in the season, ahead of Torino, ahead of Parma, Genoa. So got to give it to them. If they don't win this game at home, that's a disappointment for them for how bad Torino have been. They can't seem to get anything going. They don't score at all. Oaks has mentioned it, once what's his face went down, Zapata went down, like that was pretty much a wrap for their offense. So I like Empoli here. What's a draw no bet on them? That's what I would probably look.
Is minus 140. Wish it was a little bit better.
For a Friday game, I'll lay the juice on that, and I'll take a chance with Empoli minus 140 just to settle into the weekend. I'm not letting a fucking Torino 1-1 terrorism draw fucking ruin my weekend.
I was just going to say the draw at plus 185 feels very nice.
Could see it
in this space.
You'd like to see Empoli build on the momentum from last week.
Yeah. Kicking off Saturday early, Atalanta at Cagliari. Atalanta minus 180 on the money line. I feel like they're going to keep rolling in Serie A even after that setback against Madrid. I just don't know where the value is to bet them because
you kind of got to just ride like CDK until he doesn't score. That's pretty much.
They've actually got goal scorer props up. He is plus 180 at the goal scorer prop.
That's kind of the way to go unless you think Atalanta scoring 3, which they could.
Atalanta and over 1.5 is minus 125, which I don't hate.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I mean, that was our bet of the season last year, so why wouldn't we take it?
Yeah. I think they get 2. I don't see them not getting 2.
Yeah.
Minus 1 if you think they're going to get like 2-0 type win. Minus 105 there. Oaks has the minus 1 in the chat there. So, I think that's where the value is. I think it's Atalanta and over 1.5. I don't see them getting held to 1 by Cagliari. Speaking of bounce back spots, Napoli coming off the loss to Nick's Lazio. They're minus 135 at Udinese. I think that is probably one of the locks of the weekend. If I'm going to say something's a lock, I think they have to bounce back here.
I agree.
Udinese not good enough, I think, to stop.
No, and they've been okay. They've been scoring. This could be a sneaky both teams to score match at even money. Wouldn't shock me to see them get on the score sheet here. I do think Napoli have to bounce back. I think Lukaku to score at plus 170 is probably decent. He hasn't scored in a couple games, so the fans will be all over him if he doesn't get something soon. And Napoli over 1.5 is even money. I mean, Kvara, I think, is hurt. Right, he came off last game against Lazio, so I don't know if he's going to feature or not. But they really have to get something going. So it's now or never.
I'm going to vote never because they stink.
It's possible.
That's been my stance as
if they don't get it going
resident
here,
Napoli hater. They might be outside of the top 4 by the end of the weekend. Which actually I know because Inter and Lazio play each other, so never mind. It's impossible.
But it does put the title dreams on thin ice.
Well, so Scott, as a hater,
dreams.
How bad?
Title dreams.
Wait. So how bad does Conte look when you're not playing in Europe? Not his fault, but he came into a team that did not qualify for Europe. You rotated your entire squad for the Coppa Italia because you knew you're facing the same team 2 games in a row. You got beat pretty soundly in that match. And then you roll out your finest starting 11 over the weekend and you get beat in that match. So, and they got beat without really having, I think they had one chance that went off the post, but other than that, Lazio really didn't give them much. And, I wasn't going to say I had high expectations going into that game, but how bad does Conte look for not taking the cup match seriously? He looks terrible right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's washed as a manager. I've said that before. I think he's certainly well past his prime. He's like a poor man's Mourinho without the trophies. And just wait until January when he is expecting 100 million euros in transfer funds that, of course, Napoli aren't going to give him, and he's going to bitch and moan about it in every press conference.
Unless you're selling CDK, you're not going to have anything near that, right? Yeah.
So he's going to say, "Oh, we're still in the title chase. We're going to need, we need reinforcements, blah blah blah." He's going to get shit, and he's going to complain about it. He did that in August, right?
And
So
he
it's like,
wanted Lukaku. He wanted this like 30 to how old? Lukaku's got to be like 40. I mean, I know he's only like 30 somehow, some way. He's really not even that old. But like that's the guy that you moved mountains to get. And you say, oh yeah, Kvara, he's not going to be not Kvara. Osimhen's not going to be of any use to us. We just want Lukaku. Like, I don't know,
the
dude. You don't
older,
look
worse
that good right
version
now.
of
Yeah,
Osimhen.
at this point in their careers, I'm taking Osimhen every time,
Yeah,
right? What
absolutely.
he did for them in their title
Absolutely.
season 2 years ago. Yeah, interesting one. We'll see. We'll see if the other shoe's going to start to fall for them. Juve is the next match, hosting Venezia. They're big favorites. I think the value here is Juve clean sheet at minus 125.
Venezia's been scoring lately, haven't they?
Well,
Ish.
I was gonna say the value here is draw line at plus 380, given the fact that Juve have 9 draws in their 15 league matches so far.
Big letdown game for Juve here.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I think they get it.
trap game.
Yeah, dude.
I would love for you to be right. I
Give me
would
the draw
really
plus
love for
380.
you to be
I'll
right.
clip it.
It would certainly take the air out of Juve Twitter's sales if they were to beat City and then not win against Venezia at home.
Little sneaky, both teams to score plus 115. Also, I think it's possible. Over 2.5, possible.
Ugh, I don't know about that.
I'm not.
You're
possible.
falling in love.
Yeah.
I said possible.
Anything's possible, but I don't think it's likely.
No, I can't. I cannot co-sign it over 2.5.
Yeah. Moving on to Sunday, early match. Lecce Monza. Lecce plus 140 at home. Monza plus 195. Draw line plus 195.
Must
Set
win.
your
for
alarms,
Monza.
people. Set your alarms.
Must win for Monza.
Yeah, must win, but are they going to win?
No, I'm just saying. Absolute must
Lecce
win.
coming off getting hammered by an awful Roma team, right? And Monza needs the points. I mean,
both teams?
They both need both. They both need points. Yeah.
Give me both teams to score.
Is this your classic draw plus 195? Like relegation battle? Nobody wants to open up too much.
I'd say the opposite. I feel like this is another one of those games where it's like both teams stink, so you get a couple of goals.
Both teams to score.
Yeah, I is that what you like, Nick? Both teams to score.
I don't know what the odds are. I'm sorry, my odds are.
It's minus 105.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of like that. When in doubt, and you have two shitty teams playing against each other in a 6:30 a.m. East Coast time game, both teams to score.
Agree.
All right, that's followed by Parma hosting Verona. Parma minus 120 at home.
Yeah. Parma money line. Parma money line. Have to.
Yeah.
Hella stinks. Got to.
Oaks was claiming
Hellas is
Parma money
terrible.
line. I'm inclined to agree. So I think that's the big one.
Yeah. Wonder what their team total is too, because Hellas bleeds goals. We saw them give up 4 last week to Empoli. Minus 140. The money line's actually a better number.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That shows where Verona's defense is at.
Yeah. 4 straight losses, make it 5 straight.
Yep.
So here's an interesting one, also at the 9 a.m. Eastern time slots. Bologna hosting Fiorentina. Bologna plus 160. Fiorentina plus 165 on the money line.
Give me Fiorentina, draw no bet, minus 115.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the best one.
I tend to agree. I don't really care that they're away. I don't think that makes a big difference in this particular match.
Both
I think
teams
Moise
playing midweek, right? So it's not like an advantage rest-wise for either team.
Moise Keane to score plus 210. It's kind of silly for a dude that has like 9 goals already. I think that's a decent shout.
Yeah, Bologna in 8th, but Fiorentina's been playing really well. They've only lost 1 match in the league all season.
Yeah.
Just feels like you take them, draw no bet, especially when it's so close to even money.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say, I mean, Bologna have been much better lately. They're finally starting to score some goals. I think their defense has been okay, but I mean, today was a good example, right? They held who was it, Benfica or Porto? I already forgot.
Benfica.
They held Benfica scoreless. I mean, that's
in Portugal.
Is it something they could build on? I don't know, but
dude, Fiorentina haven't dropped points in the league since September.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Draw no bet.
Yeah, they've been really good, really good.
I agree. I tend to agree. You have to kind of ride it.
All right. Then the next one, the new match is Como hosting Roma. Como plus 195, Roma plus 130 on the money line. Roma finally righted the ship last weekend. They do play tomorrow on Thursday, hosting Braga, so no travel.
Must win, right?
Pretty much a must win for them, in my opinion.
Will Dovbyk play tomorrow, or will he play this weekend?
I think he'll play both. He had the flu.
Scotty, I don't know if you noticed this though. He got benched last game.
Oh no,
so
he was
the world-class striker. No,
he was out with the flu.
No,
out with the flu, but zero. Actually, Roma's offense improved without him.
Yeah, it did. It did.
So just throwing that out there.
El Shaarawy, man. El Shaarawy, build him a statue.
The best. The fucking best.
Assists. He's like one of the few bright spots, even in that shitty stretch ahead.
Absolutely fucking savage player that gets no love. Coach, maybe you didn't listen to me last week. Maybe you'll listen to me now. Roma money line at plus 130 is fucking silly because Como's absolutely fucking stink.
I was trying to stick to my guns and, just not give in to the temptation.
But you don't have to because you could just take Roma team total over 1.5 for that same plus 130.
Yeah, that's the real one.
Doesn't even matter what they do. They don't have to win the game.
This might be, depending on what kind of weekend I'm having heading into this match, it might be one where I might take a shot on both of those.
This game,
and it all depends what happens tomorrow too.
Como, who is surrendering 3 goals a game, this can put them directly in the relegation zone, exactly where they belong. That we have discussed every single week because every chance I get to talk about it, I'm going to. So, Roma team total, Roma money line, take them both, do whatever you want. There's no way they lose this game. Absolutely zero. Like. Pick of the season for me right here.
Ooh.
Roma.
All right. Milan hosting Genoa. Genoa let us down last weekend. They're getting shut out by
fucking bums.
Was it Udinese? I can't
no,
remember who they played.
Somebody equally dumb.
Who was it? Torino. Yeah, Torino.
Garbage.
Yeah, we thought we were golden there. We took
now you're going to make me go back and retract my pick for Friday because Torino was involved in that Friday game.
Yes.
And I just,
yes, because it was the day after Thanksgiving, right? Yeah.
I want nothing to do with Torino games ever. I hate them. Empoli, I'm sorry. I have faith in you. Got to yank that bet.
What did we said we were going to take the over 2.5. We're like, I don't want to sweat that first thing in the under 2.5. We didn't want to sweat it. We didn't take it. And we took,
I took Genoa to score. I took Genoa to score a goal. Right, Genoa to get 1 goal.
Yeah, Genoa first goal we took because Torino conceded first in a whole bunch of matches or something. Yeah, and they couldn't get 1. That was disappointing. Yeah.
Listen, I can't make sense of super coach Patrick Vieira. I can't. I don't like the guy. I never fucking liked him. He just. I don't know what he's trying to do with this team. Fuck him. I don't know. I don't know what to say here.
Balotelli just got off the bench last game, right?
I think he got 10 minutes.
Got a yellow card too, I think.
Was that? He has at least 2 so far. So credit to him.
Super Mario.
But like Milan again, like that's another funny team because like they look terrible today against a team that's probably, I don't know, on Genoa's level if we're being honest, maybe even better in their league. I don't know what to make of Milan. I think this is a pass game. I don't think their odds should be quite that high or low, however you want to classify that. It's just a stinky game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one that you have to like find something to get really creative with. I was looking at like first half stuff because the teams, I think first half over 1.25 goals is even money.
Yeah, no. Like, do you want to do that? Because that's like one of those scenarios where if there's no goal in the first 25 minutes, like you're not getting it.
Yeah, like probably better
just do a live bet.
Yeah.
But when they paid was it 2 weeks ago and they played Sassuolo and they had like 5 goals in the first half?
Yeah,
something like that.
I'd be interested to see the lineups for this one. I mean, I think like does Chukwueze finally get a start? He's definitely eager. I don't know. I don't know who's scoring for Milan. I think maybe both teams to score no, minus 120. I don't. But do you want to bet that and sweat it out for 90 minutes?
Yeah. Not really.
Fonseca, man. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, definitely not worth sweating over, I don't think. All right. And closing out the weekend, which is actually Monday, which is terrible when these games end up on Mondays, but it's Lazio hosting Inter. Lazio plus 225 at home, Inter plus 110. I think Lazio made a bit of a statement last weekend, but if they want to make a real statement, this would be the one to do it in against the team that's probably still the title favorites, definitely the betting favorites. What are you thinking, Nick? How are you feeling? And who do they play tomorrow before this?
It's a tough team. I think it's Ajax.
Okay. So
Pretty
not
sure.
an easy one.
How do I feel? I don't know. I feel great overall. I said it over and over. They're far ahead of where I expected them to be. I think the biggest change in the team is the mentality, right? Something I complained about with Sadi for 3 years, that he never has his team prepared or motivated or excited. That seems to have completely shifted. So that's pleasant surprise. Obviously 2 wins against Napoli. Didn't see that coming. Very happy about that. But then you go and like the week before they lost to Parma, coming off of like a 6-game winning streak, you go and lose to Parma. So like still kind of those head scratching losses and performances. And they don't have any draws. That's really the hard thing. Like they lost 4 games and 3 out of the 4 could have been wins or draws. That's really where it gets frustrating. Inter, I don't know. They still only have that 1 loss of the season, right? To Milan in the derby. So until you see Inter lose again, it's really tough to bet against them. I think you have the best number, I think this year on Inter at plus 110. Would not be mad at anybody taking that, but Lazio in this form, I don't know. It's a weird game to handicap. It's just over, right? Just taking over. 2-1, 3-1. I don't know.
And I think the hard thing for a match like this, just like, I was saying, got to see what Roma does before I trust them. You got to kind of see what kind of match Lazio has tomorrow, right? How do they come off that win and then go to Europe? And then if they don't play well tomorrow, does it affect them on Monday? And Inter, lost at Leverkusen yesterday. That's almost like, are they going to come out a little extra angry and a little more motivated than they may have if they had, beaten Leverkusen and let their guard down in this one? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you got Inter at plus 110. You're not going to see that too often. You got Lautaro to score at plus 200, provided he starts. You're not seeing that number very often, even though he hasn't been good, right? He's had a terrible start to the season. Do you just kind of take what's in front of you, or do you trust in Lazio in the form that they've had lately? Because even Inter, I mean, they haven't looked super convincing even in their wins, right? Like they ran up to score last week, but who were they playing? Like it was nobody.
Somebody not very good, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Give me an unbiased opinion because I could ramble either way. I could talk myself into either result.
I'll give you my plus 175 trend pick if you want that. Lazio team total over 1.5 has hit in every single one of their home games in the league this season.
Yeah, I mean, true.
Inter's defense is 15 goals, 14 matches, not stellar, not terrible, but Lazio have yet to fail, or have yet to not score multiple goals in a home game in the Serie A this season.
Like I said, I might just be taking over 2.5 at minus 115 and not sweat. I mean, I'll be sweating it regardless, but not sweating what actually happens. I think my bet is safe at over 2.5.
Yeah, I'm looking through just to see who they played at home. The only team in like the top 10 type teams that they played at home and scored 2 on. Oh, actually, they did it to Bologna. Bologna had a red card, but I was going to say Milan 2-2.
Both teams to score and over 2.5.
That was a game they should have won. Like that was when Milan were playing like shit.
Yeah.
So
and the Bologna one, they scored all 3 goals after Bologna got a first half red card. So it's kind of hard to weigh that one in there. But I mean, if they get something out of this, it's definitely a statement type game for them.
For sure.
Their schedules. Did you say you're taking just the over 2.5 or the both teams to score and over? Okay, both teams to score and over 2.5 is plus 115.
Sure.
So
yeah, why not? I don't see a scenario on the planet that Inter don't get a goal. So yeah.
So Lazio unbeaten at home, Inter unbeaten on the road is what Oaks is saying. Does that trend break one way or another? Is it gonna
immovable force, unstoppable object?
Yeah.
I mean, Inter's starting to look a little tired, right? It's not just me. Like they're starting to kind of. I don't know if it's complacency.
While, right?
Like, what is it? Yeah, matches definitely start to pile up. There's no doubt about that. I don't think they've been that unfortunate with injuries, but I don't know, man. You start in the same midfield every fucking game. Like Lazio should, if nothing else, I want to see them expose like Mkhitaryan. Like, dude's 35 years old. You have a midfield that's been pretty good so far this year. You just exposed Napoli 2 games in a row. They need to be running circles around that guy. So I forget if Rovella is still suspended or not. That's really gonna tell a big tale, but I don't know, man. They need to really go all out from the first minute, and I'd like to see them score first, but
yeah, I didn't realize that Lazio's really in kind of like a hellish stretch for them in the league.
Terrible.
You know, they just played Napoli. Now they have Inter. Lecce is a little bit of a down game on the road, and then they still have Atalanta and then Roma.
Yep.
You know, to finish the things out. So, be interesting to see where they're standing after that Roma game in January.
Absolutely.
5th.
Like you need to get that's what 4 games that you mentioned. Like you
4 out of their 5 are all. Well, I mean, Roma's not good, but it's still a derby. So
like you
it
have
doesn't
to
matter.
get 6 points, right? Like minimum, you have to get 6. So like, where do you pick it up? Are you picking it up here? Are you picking it up against Atalanta?
Yeah.
And that's the exact midpoint of the season because it's Roma's 19th match. So that's match day 19 for those two. So it kind of gives you a good measuring stick.
Does that mean we play each other last game of the year? Is it?
No, the way they have the calendar now, it doesn't exactly like flip. It's kind of like Roma's end of the season stretch. I was saying this in my other pod. Like if they want to do anything, they have to go on like a nice run between like January and I don't know, it was like March, because April, May is like 6 teams in the top 8 or something. It's like it's weird how.
Here's the bright side for you. De Rossi, I think, went like 1-6 his last 7 games. So you really can't do much worse.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's like 3 years in a row, Roma's gotten like a stacked end of season schedule, and like it doesn't affect them maybe as much this year because they just might not qualify for Europe. But like the last couple of years, chasing top 4 and then having that stretch and going deep in Europe, it's like it's like a gauntlet, and it's like almost impossible.
We'll find out.
Yeah. What else? What else we got? Anywhere else? Any good games? What's going on in Spain? Spain and Germany here.
Spain. Not a lot. Really nothing.
I bet there's a good German game.
Germany, Leipzig hosting Frankfurt is a decent game. Plus money on both those sides if you like somebody.
Stuttgart minus 125 at Heidenheim. Give me that all day fucking long.
Yeah, and Heidenheim has to play tomorrow. They're in the Conference League, so.
All right.
I think we wrap it there.
Yeah. Got a busy weekend. We got at least we have no more Champions League now if we got like 6 weeks until the next round, which is kind of weird. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we'll have you guys have Copa games. I think there's EFL Cup games next week or midweek, so still busy.
Yeah, busy stretch. Midweek games this week, midweek games next week with the Copa. No rest for the weary for these teams.
Yeah. We'll see everybody next week.
Shout out. Night. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Thanks for everybody watching. Appreciate the support always. Good luck.